Hola mis estudiantes. Today we're going to be talking about commands. So we reviewed commands. We talked about commands a little bit, but we are going to learn about usted, ustedes, and nosotros commands. So talking about different people. So make sure you've got your notes next to you, and let's get started. So first we're going to talk about usted commands. And the nice thing about these types of commands is that they follow the same rules, whether they're affirmative or negative. Okay, and that's not the case with our two commands. So we use usted commands when we're addressing people that we don't know very well, like talking to a waiter, a client. In some particular countries, they use the usted form more often than the familiar to form. Remember, when we're using commands, we're giving someone instructions. We're telling someone to do something. And it's not necessarily like a super sassy, like bossy way, but you're just telling someone to do something. So here's how we conjugate these commands. We're going to start in the present tense yo form. Make sure that it's that present tense yo form. We're going to drop the O. And then we're going to add the opposite usted ending. So for AR verbs, our ending is going to be E. And for ER and IR verbs, our ending is going to be A. Easy enough. Start in the O form, drop the O, add the opposite usted ending. So remember, our go-go's and the yo-yos, those are going to be in the yo form, so that's something to keep in mind. Let's look at some examples though. Elegir is one of the verbs on your new vocab list. So that G changes to a J in the yo form, or the present tense yo form. So we drop that O, and then we're left with our stem, and then we add that opposite ending. So elija. And then bailar, for example, notice bailar is an AR verb, so we're going to start in the yo form, bailo, we're going to drop that O, and then our opposite ending is going to be E, so baile. Okay, so that pronunciation of our vowels is going to be very important. So here's your opportunity to para y practica, stop and practice. So I have 5 commands for you to put together. If you'll notice, number 3, encender, and number 5, mover, are stem changers. So we do still have stem changers because we're in that present tense form. So, go. All right. Hopefully you paused and let's check your answers. Preparar la comida is prepare la comida. Notice it's that opposite ending, prepare. Poner los platos en las mesas. Notice that poner, as we remember, is one of our go-go's, so it'd be ponga los platos en las mesas. Encender means to turn on, so encienda la estufa. Again, we've got that stem changer there, and then our opposite ending for our ER verb is going to be A. Limpiar would be limpie la casa, and mover would be mueva las latas. All right. Please make sure that you're jotting down any questions that you have as we go on. Ustedes commands. All right. So we use the ustedes when we're addressing more than one person. So I'm saying you all. So I use the ustedes command. I use ustedes commands all of the time when I'm in class because I tell you to take out your books, put something away, listen. So these are ustedes commands. So you've already heard them a lot. So again, we're going to conjugate the verb in the present tense yo form. We're going to drop that O. And then we're going to add the opposite ustedes endings. So for our AR verbs, it is going to be EN. And for our ER and IR verbs, it is going to be, our ending is going to be AN. So again, let's look at some examples. All right, let's make it negative. No tirar would be, start in the yo form, tiro, drop the O, add the opposite ending, no tiren. And then we just have to have that no in front of it to say don't do something. And then another example, leer. Notice leer is an ER verb. So leo is in our present tense yo form. So we drop the O, add the opposite ending would be lean. All right, so far so good? All right. Again, here's an opportunity for you to para y practica. I want you to stop and practice. Change these phrases into ustedes commands. Make sure you hit pause and ready, go. Okay, here we go. Your answer would be preparen la comida, Pongan los platos en las mesas. Enciendan la estufa. Limpien la casa. And muevan las latas. Okay. Again, opposite endings start in the yo form. Still use those stem changers, and you should get it. But of course, what would a new concept be without some irregulars? So here are our irregulars. All right. So dar in the usted form is de with an accent. In the ustedes form is den. Estar is este. In the ustedes and esten. Again, notice they have accents on both of those. Saber, sepa, or sepan. Ser, sea, sean. Ir, vaya, and vayan. Okay. Please make sure that you are comfortable with those, because not only will you see them in commands, but you will see them when we talk about the subjunctive as well. All right, so now our nosotros command to follow a few different rules. So make sure that you're paying attention. We use, when we want to say like, let's do something, we use our nosotros commands. So for example, you could say vamos a bailar to say let's dance, but you can also say bailemos. All right, so you're going to conjugate it, same rules, conjugate it in the present tense yo form, drop the o. Add the opposite nosotros ending. So if it's an AR verb, it's going to be hemos with an E. And if it's an E and ER and IR verb, it's going to be amos. Okay, so those rules are the same. So reciclar, let's recycle, would be start in the yo form, reciclo, drop the O, add the opposite ending, would be reciclemos. And then compartir. Notice it's an IR verb, so start in the yo form, comparto, add the opposite ending, comportamos, compartamos. Okay, let's share. All right, and before we get to this practice, oh, this is so awkward. Okay, there we go. Before we get to the practice, something that you're probably going to need to add to your notes is that one of the differences with our nosotros commands is that they don't follow all of the stem changer rules. So only IR verbs stem change, and there's only two types of stem changers, E to I and O to U. Okay. So it's only IR verbs that stem change, and there's only E to I and O to U. So verbs that are E to IE stem changers that are IR verbs, they will just have an E to I stem change. I will show you some examples on next class period. When we go over our notes, I will show you some examples of those. But let's keep going on. So if you'll notice, numbers 3 and 5, encender and mover, notice they are not going to identify their stem change because they are not IR verbs. Okay, so go ahead and stop and practice, and let's see how you do. All right, here we go. So we've got preparemos la comida. Again, preparar is an AR verb, so our opposite ending, preparemos. Pongamos los platos en las mesas. So we're still going to identify those go-go's and the yo-yos. No stem change, so encendamos la estufa, limpiemos la casa, and movamos las latas. Again, we're not going to identify that stem change because mover is not an IR verb. Alright, this is just a little FYI for you, that our commands, if it's an affirmative command or a positive command, then we're going to attach that reflexive verb to the end. So, lávese la cara, despiértense, and relajémonos. So, when we're using affirmative commands, that final S of the verb itself is dropped before that pronoun. So, it's easier to say. So, we don't have to relajémonos, say nos. Like, no. Doesn't work like that. A lot easier to say if we just truncate it and just drop it off. So with negative commands, that pronoun is going to go before your command. All right. So affirmative commands is attached at the end. That's not an option. It's definitely how it goes. And then negative commands, it goes before. So you've got no se lave la cara, no se despierten, no nos relajemos. Oh, okay. Alright, and then last thing we're going to talk about, we've got cargar czars. We're still going to have that spelling change because of that letter E, that silly letter E. So busquemos, let's look for jueguen. Oh, there should be an E. That should be J-U-E-G-U-E-N. And then organice, saying you organize. So cargar czar, make sure that you use it. You say it correctly, but make sure that when you're spelling it, that you identify that you use those, that you spell it correctly. Alright, so then I want you to go ahead and practice those five commands. So change those verbs into commands for us, please. Remember that you are going to use our cargar czars. Okay, let's check your answers. Delegue, organicemos, empiecen, saque, and paguemos. Again, notice all of those are cargar czars. Alright, so that's all of the practice I have for you. So we're going to do quite a bit of repetition. Please make sure that when we go over these notes that you ask any questions that you have, and we'll see you later. Toodles!